Hello, friends and family. I hope that you guys are doing fantastic today. I just wanted to. I got a little fired up a little while ago. One of the guys that I listened to just got me fired up, and I wanted to share. I wanted to share his message with you guys, but the plumberized version of it. I have spoken a lot on this channel about getting your head right. Now, that's a phrase my dad used to use. You got to get your head right. Really, whenever I say that, I do mean that you've got to get your mind right, but I also mean that you've got to get your heart right. Like you've got to decide whether or not you're going to believe what it is that Jesus says or not. Like if you just sit there and you casually say, yeah, I believe what Jesus says. Do you know what he says? I mean, you can say that you believe what he says, but do you know what he says? If you don't know what he says, then you need to know what he says, so that way you can believe it. You know, Jesus went to the cross. Why? For the joy set before him. Really? Was that a joyous journey, you think, to the cross? Well, it was for him. Even though he went through pain and agony, even though he knew what was going to happen before it happened, we respond like the thing that we think's going to happen has already happened. I heard a guy say it this way, it's amazing how when we imagine the bad result, when we imagine bad results, or when we say, what if this doesn't work out? We can see that in crystal clear, vivid 3D, right? Like it's crystal clear what's going to happen if this and that doesn't happen, or if this doesn't work out, or if I don't succeed, or if so-and-so doesn't do this thing. We can see what the consequences are very, very clearly. If I told you, hey, what are all the things that you should do to destroy a marriage? You could list off a bunch of things. Well, just do the opposite of those things, and voila, you have the recipe or the prescription for how to have a successful marriage. It's amazing how we sit around and we say, and when I say we, I mean me, we sit around and we say, I don't know what to do. Yeah, you do. Yes, I do. I know exactly what to do. I just list the things that I know don't work and do the opposite of those things. It's so much easier to say than it is to do, right? And I know, I'm with you. I understand the other side of this argument. What I'm trying to tell you is this, is that Jesus demonstrated for us what it looks like to be able to do this as a human being. Not as God, as a human being. He submitted himself fully to being a man. Like he got tired. He sweat. He got dirty. He stank. If he didn't shower for a few days, he stank like we stink. He needed to eat. He got hungry. He experienced all the same stuff we experienced so that we would have an example. We would have someone who is our God, but is also understanding of what it is we as humans have to go through. We are supposed to take joy in all circumstances. We're supposed to have joy no matter what. And I want to encourage you that it is possible to do so. You get to pick what you focus on. You choose what you focus on. Now, the enemy's going to try to get you to focus on a bunch of stuff that's not true. But this habit, this practice, if you will instill this, if you will do this, replacement thought therapy, that's what I'm going to call it. I made that up. It's replacement thought therapy. If somebody else has made it up somewhere else, I don't know about it. Whenever you have anxiety, when you're depressed about something, when you have fear of any kind about something, stop when you have that fear and let that be a trigger for you to replace that thought, whatever it may be, with the thought of what it's going to be like when things work out for you. So when you have the fear and the thought about not being able to pay your bills next month, when you have the fear or thought about losing someone, when you have the fear or the thought about anything in your life that is negative, and it runs contrary to what it is the Bible says that we're supposed to do, which is to take joy in all circumstances. If the Bible tells us that we can do it, then we've been equipped to do it. We have to figure out how to do that. The way to do that is to have thought replacement. You've got to replace your thoughts. You've got to strip out the negative crap and plug in what it is that Jesus has promised you. Whenever a thought comes to you that is negative, that is a fear of what's going to happen next, a fear of what's going to happen in the future, even if something negative does happen to you, you can't control what happens to you. You can control how you respond to what happens to you. And to some extent, you can control how you feel about what happens to you. How do I control my feelings? Well, it starts by controlling your thoughts and your perspectives about what it is that happens to you. That will dictate how you feel about it. If I look back on when I got shot, I can dwell on the fact that a couple of guys got away with it, shooting me and leaving me with never-ending nerve pain and scars up one side and down the other. Or I can focus on the fact that I never ever would have spoken to as many people as I've spoken to. I would never have been able to get up in front of hundreds of people and speak confidently about what it is that I've gone through and what I've been through. And now, I have no fear whatsoever of it. I also recognize that both of my daughters came after that. The enemy tried to come after not just me, but he came after my family, my future family that wasn't here yet. I have to have a proper perspective on that. I have to look back and say, wow, I see what the enemy was doing, but better yet, I see what God did with it. It's not what happened to me, it's what happened for me. I want you to be encouraged by this. I love you guys. I hope that you have a fantastic evening. I'll see you again soon.